So here with us now to talk more about this latest presidential bid, Chris Stirewalt, NewsNation political editor. Chris, thank you so much for your time. So we just heard from Kelly Meyer there, $22 million in his war chest. I mean, is that pretty significant to start out?
Well, it goes quicker than you think. But yes, for starting out, that's pretty good, especially for a senator, especially for somebody who is entering the race with relatively low name identification. It says that he's got the ability to stick around and see what he can make out of this.
Let's talk about that name identification. In recent polling, I mean, he's registering about a 1% in recent polling. Does that make sense as far as timing of his announcement?
Well, look, the money is for getting famous. That's what the money's for. The money is sometimes money in politics is to bring down your opponent, and you run negative ads and you try to bring them down. What money can do for Tim Scott here is get him more famous. You can buy the ad time, you can push the events, you can do the things to try to raise his profile. And here's the thing that Tim Scott is counting on. He's pretty good in front of a crowd. He's pretty good in an interview. He is not just nimble and good with talking points, but he makes a strong emotional connection with audiences. I've watched it happen in person, and I assume he figures if he can get out there, get in the mix, that he might catch on.
Obviously, yeah, he seems to be, pretty affable guy there. Chris, he already has the endorsement of 2 Republican senators here. He's the only Republican candidate other than our former president to have Senate endorsements. Trump's the only other candidate. What does that say to you about how far he can go, about where he's at right now? How significant do you think those endorsements are?
Well, endorsements aren't worth a bunch at the end, but at the beginning, they can be valuable. And what's significant about Scott getting in early is he's trying to lock up that Senate support, right? There's a lot of reasons for him to get in now, but one of them is he's the first senator in the race. And this sends a message to other senators, hey, I'm going to be the guy from the U.S. Senate. Let's fall in line behind me. You expect the same thing from Ron DeSantis when he makes his announcement that he'll say, hey, governors, hey, Republican governors, one of your own is in the race. Why don't you line up behind me?
Well, so let's talk about, this Republican race right now, because we talked about the polling, the fact that Senator Scott right now is polling at about 1%. We know who polls the highest when it comes to Republican voters. That is the former president. Former President Trump always comes out on top. So how significant is this early support from these fellow Republican senators when it comes to potentially moving the party away from Trump? Or do you see the majority of support still going to the candidate who has proven that he can win the White House?
Well, he's also proven he can lose it. The reality for Republicans, never since 2000, a long time ago, has the front runner at this point gone on to win the nomination when you have an open seat. And the reality here is Donald Trump is a front runner. He is definitely the front runner, but it is very, very early. And the problem about when you look at a presidential race like this, you're going to get a very crowded field. Scott is going to be the first of several more who will get in the coming weeks and months. And by the time we get to Halloween, this is going to be a crowded field. And the question then becomes, who can rise out as debates start and as the process starts in earnest? Who really can rise here and who can build some momentum? And I would not sleep on Tim Scott. Of anybody in this mix, he has the ability to grow that share. And what you're really looking for, and you've seen it many times, you're looking for momentum. You're looking for somebody who can generate some interest and generate some momentum. And that's what that's how Donald Trump won in 2016. He got in. People were skeptical of his chances. He built momentum, and then presto changeo.
Yep. Chris, last question for you here, and I want to talk about something you mentioned there, the fact that not since 2000 has the front runner ended up winning. So let's just talk about the timing of this announcement from Senator Scott, particularly since we are anticipating that we will be hearing another announcement in just a few days. Of course, I'm talking about Governor DeSantis.
Well, I think the right thing for Scott is to get in ahead of DeSantis. You don't want to wait for DeSantis to get in. You want to get your bite at some press attention now. And the other thing that Scott has going for him is he is a black Republican in a party that is eager to say to the American electorate, this is not a racist party. This is not a bigoted party. Tim Scott can talk frankly about issues of race. He can talk about his history. He can talk about that stuff. And that gives him something that nobody else in the mix has.
Absolutely. Yeah. It'll certainly be interesting to see what the polling looks like once we are, into summer and what ends up shaking out. Chris Stirewalt, certainly appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.